Hello my friends, this is Paul and welcome to A Calm Touch of Fantasy. Today we are reviewing The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I do not read much contemporary fiction. I don't really care for it that much, but at the same time I haven't read a whole lot, so I shouldn't make judgments based off of some of the things I might have read or some of the things I might have thought about when it comes to contemporary fiction. And so I learned about this book through another booktuber's channel. I think it was Chris from Reading Roads. And he absolutely loved the book. And he explained how it was a book about a bookstore. It's a book for book nerds. There's a lot of instances of book conversations in the book. And I thought, what a great book for me to try contemporary fiction, see if I can get into it, and see if I can enjoy it. And I'm extremely happy I did because I absolutely loved this book quite a bit. So The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry is a contemporary fiction book about a man in his mid-30s. He owns a bookstore. His wife just passed away about a year ago. And A.J. is not doing well. He's just not coping with the loss of his wife. She also ran the bookstore with him. And he just is not happy. He takes out his unhappiness on his employees, on the people that come in to buy books, his friends, and random strangers that he meets. He's just kind of like a miser. He's just not happy. He's very rude to people, and he's also an alcoholic. His life is just really going downhill. The only thing that he really has going for him is his copy of Tamerlane by Edgar Allan Poe. It's worth $500,000. And he's going to use that to retire on. However, his book gets stolen and he loses his retirement because the book was stolen. And a mysterious package was left at his bookstore, something that he didn't expect. However, this mysterious package is going to change his life and make him into a completely different man. Now, I didn't want to say what the actual mysterious package was because I think that finding it out on your own is kind of the charm of this book. More than likely, if you've read anything about this book, then you know what the mysterious package is. But I didn't really want to say it in this video, just in case people didn't know. And you can kind of go into the book more blind. And in my opinion, enjoy it more because of that. I absolutely love this book, and the very first thing I noticed was how great of a narrator Scott Brick is. I absolutely loved his delivery of this book. It's a little melancholy, a little bit downplayed, but it works so well with the material. And as the character grows and changes, so does Brick's narration. It starts out very melancholy, and it becomes much more cheerful as the book progresses. And I absolutely love that. It was almost a reverence type feeling when he talked about books. And I just found that the narration was fantastic. If you love audiobooks, this is definitely the type of book that you would want to listen to audiobook. It just works really well on audiobook. I opened up myself emotionally while reading this, and it made all the difference. This book moved me emotionally. I cried a few times. I laughed out loud quite a few times. I just really enjoyed this. You know, at the beginning, AJ kind of is a book snob, and he kind of is a book snob through the whole story, but he backs up how he feels about books and says why he feels the way he does, and I respect that about AJ, and it is something that I always want to be able to do in my own reading. One thing I like about the story is that AJ himself thinks of his own life as a cliche fiction book, with his dead wife and the way she died, and then the investigator investigating the death. He just makes comments like, oh, this is like a cliche detective book. This is really cliche about some middle-aged man losing his wife in a car accident. And it's funny that he keeps making all these references to it being cliched and melodramatic, because the book kind of is cliched and melodramatic. But I think that's intentional because it's called The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. And I think Gabrielle Zevin is trying to tell us that sometimes life itself can be cliched, it can be melodramatic. And that's okay. Those aren't bad things. And to read about melodramatic things in fiction is not a bad thing either. Just because something is cliched or melodramatic doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means that sometimes those things happen in life, so it should also happen in fiction. And I really like that message within this book. I related to AJ Fikry because I am a 33-year-old. In the book, he is in his mid-30s. He is just not having that great of a life at the moment, losing his wife, and he's just kind of down on his luck. I can kind of relate to that, and then I can kind of relate to how his luck has changed and things are getting better for him, and it just makes kind of a hopeful message for people around that age. Just because you're not married, just because you don't have someone at the moment, doesn't mean you're not going to find somebody. And just because you're unhappy now does not mean you're going to be unhappy in the future. Things are going to get better, things are going to change, and I just like that more positive, upbeat message that this book gives out. The most important thing, though, this book has really made me look at literature and short stories differently, and made me realize, yes, Paul, you need to actually read literature more often, read classics, read contemporary literature as well, read more short stories. These things are important. These things can frame the way you see the entire world, just like how AJ framed his entire world because of these books that he read. And you need to spend maybe a little bit less time reading the fantasy and science fiction books, as much as I love them, and throw in more classics, more literature, more short stories. Just because, it is important to see the roots of where literature was, how it's changed, and also experience the experiences that these people had in their books and apply it to your own life. This is going to be the book that will make me try contemporary literature in the future, and I'm very happy I read this. I gave this a 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. For the plot, I give it a 4. For the characters, I give it a 4. For the setting, I give it a 4. For the writing style, I give it a 4. For the heart and mind aspect, though, I give it a 5. I was really touched by this book. I really just loved it and enjoyed it so much. If you like emotional contemporary books, check this book out. If you like books about books, check this book out. I recommend it to the majority of the BookTube community. Thanks for watching. Please check out my written review below for more detail. And have a great one, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe.